Discover the secrets of the Bible in the exciting story of Moses and the miracle of the Red Sea. Hello, today we're going to explore one of the greatest miracles in the Bible, the story of Moses and the miracle of the Red Sea. Prepare to be amazed by the details of this story full of faith and divine power. Moses was born at a time of great oppression for the Hebrews in Egypt. To protect him from Pharaoh's order to kill all male Hebrew babies, his mother placed him in a basket and set him adrift in the Nile River. In an incredible twist of fate, Pharaoh's daughter found the baby and decided to adopt him, naming him Moses, which means drawn from the water. Thus, from his birth, Moses was destined to play a crucial role in the history of the Hebrew people. After fleeing Egypt, Moses settled in Midian, where he became a shepherd. One day, while tending his father-in-law Jethro's flock, Moses came across an extraordinary sight, a burning bush that burned without being consumed. Curious and intrigued, Moses decided to approach it and was surprised by the voice of God, who called him by name. In that sacred moment, God revealed to Moses his mission to free the Hebrew people from slavery in Egypt. Impacted by the divine presence and the responsibility entrusted to him, Moses accepted the challenge and began his journey towards the liberation of his people. You have a beautiful house. After the divine revelation in the burning bush, Moses returned to Egypt with his brother Aaron to fulfill the mission given by God. Before Pharaoh, Moses demanded the liberation of the Hebrew people, but Pharaoh refused to give in. As a result, a series of plagues ravaged Egypt, demonstrating God's power and wrath. Each plague was a sign of God's will to free the Hebrews and show Pharaoh that he could not defy the God of the Hebrews with impunity. Despite Pharaoh's attempts to resist, the plagues culminated in the death of the Egyptian firstborn, leading him to finally allow the Israelites to leave Egypt for the Promised Land. After the liberation of the Hebrew people from Egypt, Moses was instructed by God to climb Mount Sinai to receive the Ten Commandments, which would be the fundamental laws to guide the lives of the people of Israel. For 40 days and 40 nights, Moses remained on top of the mountain in communion with God, receiving the stone tablets on which the commandments were engraved. In this divine encounter, Moses experienced the presence and holiness of God in a unique and special way, further strengthening his faith and his mission as leader of the chosen people. During their journey through the desert, the Hebrew people faced countless difficulties and trials that tested their faith and loyalty to God. In a moment of weakness and disbelief, some Israelites rebelled against Moses and questioned his leadership, even going so far as to wish to return to slavery in Egypt. This rebellion was a crucial point in the Hebrew people's journey, as it demonstrated the importance of trusting in God and obeying his commandments. Moses, with his wisdom and firmness, managed to overcome this crisis and reaffirm the people's faith in God's promise of an abundant and free land. Thus, the rebellion became a moment of learning and spiritual growth for the Israelites, strengthening their determination to move forward towards the Promised Land. After the liberation of the Hebrew people from Egypt, led by Moses, the Israelites began their journey towards the Promised Land. However, Pharaoh changed his mind and decided to pursue the Hebrews with his army, wanting to bring them back into slavery. When the Israelites saw the Egyptian army rapidly approaching, fear and despair spread among them. Moses, confident in divine protection, cried out to God for guidance and help. At that crucial moment, a dark cloud descended on the Egyptians, preventing them from advancing, while illuminating the path of the Israelites. Thus, God once again demonstrated his power and care for his chosen people, setting the stage for one of the greatest miracles recorded in the Bible, the parting of the waters of the Red Sea. The miracle of the parting of the waters of the Red Sea by divine intervention. After being pursued by the Egyptian army, the Israelites found themselves trapped between the sea and the enemy army. Faced with this desperate situation, Moses, trusting in the power of God, stretched out his hand over the waters of the Red Sea. In that moment of faith and obedience, a strong wind blew over the sea, dividing the waters and creating a dry path in the middle of the deep waters. The Israelites witnessed with amazement the grandeur of this miracle. The waters rose up like walls on each side, allowing them to cross safely. This extraordinary event not only guaranteed the liberation of the Hebrews, but also demonstrated the supernatural power of God to protect and guide his people in the most critical moments. After the miraculous division of the waters of the Red Sea, the Israelites began their crossing on dry ground, walking in fear and awe before the power of God manifested at that moment. As the waters rose like walls on both sides, the Hebrew people advanced with renewed faith and gratitude in their hearts. The previously submerged ground was firm beneath their feet, testifying to the divine providence that guided them safely through that extraordinary passage. No obstacle could stop the fulfillment of the promise of deliverance made by God to Moses and his chosen people. Through this unparalleled miracle, the Israelites experienced not only victory over their enemies, but also the certainty of the constant divine presence in their lives, further strengthening their faith and devotion to the Lord. The deliverance of the Hebrew people and victory over their enemies. After the thrilling crossing of the Red Sea, the Israelites finally reached the opposite shore, witnessing the power and faithfulness of God in their journey of liberation. As a new day dawned, Moses and his people celebrated their victory with songs of praise and gratitude, recognizing the divine hand that had guided and protected them through their adversities. The experience of crossing not only marked the end of slavery in Egypt, but also symbolized a new beginning for the Hebrews, now free to move toward the Promised Land. As they watched the waters closing over their Egyptian persecutors, the Israelites were overcome with a sense of awe before the power of God. The miraculous deliverance of the Hebrew people and the defeat of their enemies clearly demonstrated that the Lord was on the side of the righteous and faithful, ready to intervene on behalf of those who sincerely seek him. The story of Moses and the miracle of the Red Sea remains a living testimony of divine providence and the fulfillment of the promises made to those who trust in the Lord. May this story inspire us to persevere in faith, even in the face of the most imposing obstacles, knowing that the one who made a way through the deep waters is able to lead us in triumph to the heavenly promises reserved for those who love him. If you were impressed by this incredible story, leave a like, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel for more biblical content. I hope you enjoyed learning more about the story of Moses and the miracle of the Red Sea. Don't forget to leave a comment with any other biblical stories you'd like to see here. See you in the next video.